Hi everyone, this is Lisa from Stamp a Rainbow, and this is the simple card that we're going to make today. I'm going to show you how to use some distress oxide inks and blend them to create a unique background for your card. Then we're going to use the reverse of an image of a die to complete the look of the card. So let's get started. You're going to need some white cardstock for the base. I'm using Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110 pound for the base and 80 pound for the card layer. You can find the measurements on my blog, stamparainbow.com. I'm using the Mega Greeting stamp set from Altenew, which is one of my very favorite stamp sets. I'm going to use one of the small sentiments because I'm using the corresponding Mega Hello die. This die is awesome. It's big and bold and it fits perfectly on the front of a card. I'm using Tim Holtz Distressed Oxide inks because they're perfect for blending. I'm using Fired Brick, Fossilized Amber, and Faded Jeans. It's your classic red, yellow, and blue primary colors. So let's get started blending. First, I'm going to take a piece of copy paper to put behind my card. It's going to make blending easier because you're going to start from the outside and work in. The first color I'm using is the Fire Brick, and I'm using the Tim Holtz blending tool for darker coverage. These blending brushes from the Rabbit Hole are great to use if you want a softer look, but I'm looking for a little bit darker, so I'm going to use the Tim Holtz blending tools for this card. Starting from the outside of the card, just start blending. I sped up this section because it takes a while to blend all of the colors depending on how picky you are. First I did the red, then I came in with the yellow, blending it up into the red to create some orange, and then I took the blue on the bottom and again blended up into the yellow to create some green. Once you get your colors down, you can go back with the previous colors to blend in some more and get rid of the harsh lines. Just remember that this does not have to be perfect, and every card is going to be unique. There is a time where you really need to quit blending. I really don't know if there's ever a time when you're truly satisfied with the way it looks, but sometimes it's good just to be done and just to move on. Okay, so now we're ready to die cut. Take the Mega Hello die and center it on the blended cardstock and run it through your machine. I apologize for the shaky video as I run the die through the machine, but it caused my table to shake a bit. Once you remove the die and separate them, you'll see that you have the reverse image and a regular die cut. So you can actually make two cards out of this technique. I'm going to go ahead and save the regular die cut and use that for a future card. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment onto the die cut. I'm using my stamping MISTI tool to position the A Wish stamp from the card set. I want to make the sentiment embossed, and I don't have any black embossing powder, so here's a neat trick. First, you're going to stamp with the Gina Black Onyx ink. After I make sure that I get the coverage I want, you can stamp it again if you want it darker. Then you're going to stamp with some VersaMark ink and use some clear embossing powder. When you use the VersaMark ink, you don't have to wipe off the stamp first. As you can see, my pad has got different colors on it, and it'll work. So go ahead and stamp that on top of the black ink. You must use a positioning tool for this because you have to stay exactly on top of the stamped image. Now I'm going to use some clear embossing powder and sprinkle it over my sentiment. Grab your heating tool and hit the embossing powder until it melts. Since it's over the black ink, it's going to look just like you embossed it with some black ink, and it's pretty nice and shiny. You can do this technique with any color as long as you have a positioning tool like a MISTI. Now it's time to put the card together. Yes, it's that simple. I'm using Gina Connect Glue to glue the die cut onto the white card base. You could use some foam dimensionals to give it some lift, but I decided just to use the glue and glue it flat down. There's a couple of other pieces that I'm gluing onto the card. There's a piece with the H and another piece with the L. There was a smaller piece with the O, but I decided to leave that one out. I'm gluing these pieces in between to complete the letters. You don't have to do this since you can easily tell it says hello, but I like the way it looks with the pieces attached. And that's it, the card's complete. None of the elements that I did are super hard. Blending is a lot easier than it looks, and it's super fun. The embossing is one of my favorite things to do. It immediately adds a professional touch to the card. Here's a card I created using the reverse technique. Instead of blending the die cut layer, I blended the card base. I also raised this one up with some foam dimensionals. I hope you enjoyed this card video. Please visit my blog, Stamp a Rainbow, for measurements and product information and other cards. Thank you so much for joining me.